So now, as a nation, now, there are individual Negroes that are being blessed here in the land of captivity. I don't want anybody to get misconstrued what I'm saying. There are individual Negroes, whether they be of whatever tribe they're from, that are being blessed here in the land of captivity. We're not going to get into that because that's not what it's about. But as a nation, as an entirety, we are cursed. It's never been about color. It's never been about color. It's been about bloodline. Now, listen very carefully. The land that he's going to give us. So it's not going to happen. The murders aren't going to stop. The lynchings aren't going to stop. The ridicule and the persecution toward the Negroes, especially, along with the other 12 tribes, is not going to stop. Many of you Negroes thought you got justice with George Floyd. I assure you, there's a trick behind it. But I'm not going to comment on it. I'm going to let you Negroes live. But I'm too spiritually inclined to fall for the okie doke. Now, verse 12. Yahuwah shall open unto thee his good treasure. There it is again. Yahuwah shall open unto thee his good treasure. Good treasure. Good treasure. The heaven to give. Oh, okay. So he's talking about the heaven here. The heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. So that's tilling the field and planting crops. Unto thy hand in his season, and to bless all the work of thy hand. And thou shalt lend into many nations, and thou shalt lend into many nations, and thou shalt lend into many nations, unto many nations. And thou shalt not borrow. You shall not borrow. You shall not borrow. What Negro do you know can give a loan to an Arab, a Chinese man, or a Caucasian? Now, I did hear, I know there's a black bank. Maybe a couple of them or whatever or whatnot, right? Okay. That's probably about it. I'm not even going to say us as an entire nation. I'm just talking about that's probably about it, period. I don't think there's any more lending going on. And they're not really even lending because there's a trick behind that. For real. They're not giving away their own money. You Negroes, including myself because I'm a Negro. Us Negroes, we don't lend other nations money. We're the borrower. Even with credit. I'm talking about us as an entirety. I'm not talking about you rich Negroes. Okay? Now, and Yahuwah shall make thee the head and not the tail, but we are the tail. We're at the bottom. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of Yahuwah thy Elohim, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods and serve them. Now, does that sound like we're being blessed? We're talking about, that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that was a prosperity speech. As an entire nation, are we wealthy? Physically? Economically? No. We're not. Now, mind you that verses 1 through 14 were speaking of the blessings. And then verses 15 all the way to 68. So you got 50 verses, 53 verses that talk about the curses. "53 verses. Okay, so now, I want us to move on. Okay? So, here it is 5,500 years later. We're still in the same situation. Nothing has changed in over 5,000 years. But you still have people today, just like Moses, that dress in fine suits, dress in long robes, and they always try to give people advice with their fine suits on and their bow ties. And then you have other organizations with long robes, and they look snazzy, they really do. And they grab the gavel and they tell everybody to follow the commandments. The same thing that Moses was trying to do. Now, here's the twist. Do we have to follow the commandments? Absolutely. That's the oxymoron and the twist. But it's not being explained to you all properly. And I have been explaining to you all, but you have not been hearing me. But just as your forefathers neglected the words of Elohim through his prophets, so do all of you. So, I'm not going to give you a prosperity speech like Moses, and I'm not going to talk about prosperity like everybody else. Okay? Now, I want us to go to Matthew chapter 19. Let's just go there. Matthew chapter 19. Okay? And we're going to start at verse 16. And I want everybody to pay close attention. Okay? Now, I need you to understand something, just like I said before. Our forefathers 5,500 years ago were not the children of light. And all those who died in the wilderness were cut off, and their names were blotted out of the book of life. Now, I want you all to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. And behold, one came and said unto him, who's him? Christ. And behold, one came and said unto him, good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And Christ said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Elohim. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments, keep the commandments, keep the commandments. He saith unto him, which? Yahusha said, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. I'm sorry. Christ said, keep the commandments. And then the guy said, he said unto him, which? Yahusha said, thou shalt not murder. Okay, yeah. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Honor thy mother and father. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. The young man saith unto him, all these I have kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? Yahusha said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. Now, is Christ trying to tell him to give away everything he has? So where he doesn't have a place to stay? Or, you know what? I'm actually not even going to dispute that. I'm not going to say yay or nay. We're just not going to get into that right now. I'd rather just leave that alone because it's controversial. But there's something I want you to notice here. Something that went over a lot of people's heads. Christ did not mention the first 4 commandments. He did not mention the commandments, thou shalt have no other gods but me. Thou shalt not have an idol, whether in the heavens, on earth, or beneath the earth. Thou shalt not disrespect my name, shall not take my name, you shall not bring my name to naught. Do not bring the name of Yahuwah to nothing. And thou shalt guard the Sabbath day. Those are commandments 1, 2, 3, and 4 that deals with Elohim. Commandments, the 5th commandment, thou shalt honor thy mother and father. And then we got thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. Commandments 5 through 10 are dealing with your own people. Let me repeat that because this is very important and it's a major part of what I'm saying. Christ did not mention the first four commandments. He did not mention, you shall not have any of God but myself. He did not mention, you shall have no other gods but me. He did not mention, you shall not have an idol. He did not mention, you shall not take my name in vain. And he did not mention, you shall follow the Sabbath. What did Christ tell him? He said, there is none but good if you keep the command. He said, which? He said, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy mother and thy father, honor thy mother and thy father, thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. These are commandments 5 through 10 dealing with people, your brothers and your sisters. He skipped the first 4 commandments that dealt with himself as Elohim. Now, does that mean that we're not supposed to follow the first 4 commandments? Oh, no. Absolutely not. But there's a trick to this. And I want you to pay attention to the trick. Let me continue reading, because I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to stop at 22. So he said, honor thy mother and thy father. Then he said, thou shalt love thy neighbor. So the young man saith unto him, all these things I have kept to my youth. What am I lacking, Christ? I did all of that. I don't commit adultery. I've never murdered anybody. I don't steal from people. I don't bear false witness on people. I don't slander. I honor my father. I honor my mother. Thou shalt, I love my neighbor. Now, was the young man lying? No, he wasn't lying. He did keep those commandments. How do we know? Because Christ confirmed it. Because Christ then said unto him, if thou wilt, he didn't deny that he did those things. He said, now, if you want to be blameless, I don't like to use the word perfect, but if you want to be blameless, go and sell what thou hast, give it to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowfully, for he had many possessions. So the young boy didn't want to give up his possessions and follow Christ. He had neglected the first 4 commandments. See, he followed, but was he completing the commandments? Was he completing the commandments that would give him prosperity on earth? Yes. Because commandments 5 through 10 will see to it that you have prosperity on this planet. There's only 2 ways you can get prosperity on this planet, whether you're in captivity or not. One of those ways is to follow commandments 5 through 10, and the other is to shake hands with the devil. Now, there's a third way also. Because that way is kind of tricky. And I'm kind of going to get into that. Because there's a third way. Now, there's 3 ways to get prosperity. And I want you to pay attention. One way is to follow the commandments 5 through 10. Another way is to shake hands with the devil. But then there's a neutral way, an unconscious way to do it. Because there are people out here that don't give Christ any credit. They don't give God any credit at all. And they're doing well. They didn't shake hands with the devil. And they're not necessarily following the commandments. Some of them step on their own people in order to get to where they got to go. They're not signing their name in blood. And they're not in negotiations with Satan. So they're not necessarily following the commandments, but they're not necessarily in hand with the devil either. Now, we're not going to get into that right now, because I don't want to cause confusion. But if you remember what Christ said, you cannot have two masters. So Christ told the young boy, he said, sell all your SHIT and come and follow me. And you will have treasures in heaven. Now the young boy was wealthy. He had all these possessions. But he wasn't about to do all that. He wasn't about to take that next step. Because he had prosperity down here on earth. Moses gave that prosperity speech, but he gave it to a bunch of people 5,000 years ago that were not the children of light. See, the kingdom is now at hand. The kingdom is nigh. They had a lot of living to do 5,000 years ago. And if they understood the commandment, which I'm not going to get into because I've did it in previous lessons. If they understood that the commandment was Yah himself, and that if they only had trusted Yah, then Yah would have brought them back into their land, because we don't own anything here in America and we never will. Only back in the land will you Negroes and myself as a Negro have true prosperity. When the kingdom come and Christ reigns on earth, then will only true prosperity be real. Will it really truly exist? Because here in America, Negro, you don't have nothing. You don't own your house. You don't own your car. Those pretty sneakers you got on and those fly clothes, that don't belong to you either. I assure you this. It's going to come a time where you're going to have to make a choice between Yah and this world. See, Moses gave a prosperity speech. And that young boy, he was following the law of Moses. And he was blessed. I believe he was in captivity, I'm not sure. But the young boy had bread. But when Christ said, sell that SHIT and roll with me, young boy was like, woo, I don't know about all that. I got all these big, strong oxes. And I got all these swords and houses and farms. I got all these vegetables and fruits and all the silver. I don't want to give all of this stuff up. Now, us as a nation, we don't have all those things. Now, there are Negroes that have those things. And like I said, some of them are hard workers. Some of them are hard workers. I'm not going to dare say that every rich Negro shook hands with the devil. That's just wrong. That's illogical. You can't say that. Now, what I want y'all to understand, and we're going to go to Mark 18 and 19, and I'm going to show you that again. Mark 10, 19. Mark 10, 19. Mark 10, 19. And it reads, and it's basically this is Mark's account of what I just read. Okay? This is Mark's account of what Matthew wrote. Christ pretty much said, you know the commandments. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Defraud not. Honor thy mother and father. So, then again, he didn't mention the first commandments. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to find out as we approach this, going toward the end of this message. I'm going to show you why. Okay? Now, let us go to Proverbs 28:9. Let us go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 9. It reads, if one turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. Anybody. This is anybody. No. It's not anybody, right? I'll prove it's not anybody. But if you're an Israelite and you turn away your ear from hearing the law of God, what law? The law of Moses. The Ten Commandments as well? No. The Ten Commandments is not the law of Moses. The law of Moses was decrees that were umbrellaed by the Ten Commandments that detailed the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments was written by the finger of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahushua HaMashiach wrote on those tablets of stone with his own finger the Ten Commandments. So that's not the law of Moses. See, Moses is going to get a lot of you in trouble. Still to this day. Still to this day, Moses is many of your help. Many of you Negroes, your hope. Those of you that come into the truth and are being taught by all of you crazies out here that say that the law of Moses is needed for salvation, you're in trouble. Now, let's not get anything twisted. I'm only a man and I cannot annul the law of Moses, and I do not want to annul the law of Moses. The law of Moses is very important, especially to our children. Okay? Now, Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Now, is that really what the Bible, what Bible means? I don't know. You can check for yourself. But it makes sense, right? So I'm just going to go ahead with that. So I don't really care if it's wrong or right at this point. It makes a lot of sense. Pay attention. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Before leaving Earth. The prosperity speech that Moses spoke was ways to live well down here on earth. And there's nothing wrong with that. But right now, and it's still, I'm not speaking any foolishness. Get up, go to work, be an entrepreneur. Get up, be an entrepreneur. Make the bacon, do what you have to do to feed your family. Of course. I'm not speaking foolishness. Use your common sense. But do understand that if you are anybody, not just a Negro, but anybody of any other nation living in this day and time, the kingdom is at hand. Now hold on.